Hello flight simmers, welcome back to the channel and thanks for tuning in on this special video. After the recent release of the Fenix A320, many simmers have been asking the question how the Fenix compares to the FSlabs A320 series. It is a valid question to ask, since up to this point the FSlabs was basically the benchmark in flight sim airliners. The Fenix is said to be in a position to take this place from the FSlabs. So today we want to take a closer look at both add-ons and try to make a comparison wherever possible. Before we start, there are a few things I want to highlight. Number one, I'm not a real pilot, so if you want to ask the question which of these two A320s is more realistic, you will probably not find an answer in this video. Actually, I think it's kind of difficult to ask the question of realism in a flight sim perspective. Number two, when we compare the two aircrafts, we have to be aware of two facts. A, the add-ons are running on entirely different simulators. This means that developers are limited by different factors in the two different environments. For example, in P3D it is hard to develop a proper flight model, while in Microsoft Flight Sim, developers, for example, currently have no chance to develop a working weather radar. Also, Fenix has been transparent about the font size issue on the panels and also the fuel flow issue, which both apparently are sim limitations. Point B, we need to understand that one of those aircrafts, namely the FSlabs, is a very well matured aircraft, having received many updates along the way and being available for many years. The Fenix, on the other hand, is a very new aircraft, being just available since a couple of days. So going forward, we can of course expect the Fenix to get a lot better. That being said, there are a few aspects which we can directly compare to one another, but there are also some aspects which we cannot really compare. Now that being cleared, let's jump into the comparison. The first and most obvious topic is the exterior model. I think both add-ons are very well modeled from the outside, both maxing out the possibilities that the sim is giving them. It's no secret that Microsoft Flight Sim allows for better reflections, PBR effects and lighting on the exterior model, and this gives the Fenix a truly stunning look. What I really appreciate about the Fenix is the attention to detail they put in, modeling all the small dents and screws which we can only see when we get very close to the aircraft. Also, they have done a very good job when it comes to weathering and the wear and tear of the aircraft. It adds a bit of immersion when the aircraft looks used, although in my personal opinion they went even a tiny bit too far in that regard. Another thing which I like about the Fenix is the wing flex. In my opinion, the FSlabs always has lacked a little bit of wing flex, especially during cruise. The wing flex in the Fenix is more pronounced, which is a nice little something to appreciate. Again, both exterior models are excellent, but in my personal opinion the Fenix looks a tiny bit better, which is mostly due to the Microsoft Flight Sim environment. I can only recommend to take the Fenix on a sunset spin, and you will know what I'm talking about. The next topic is the sound modeling. Now I should mention that I've always been a big fan of the FSlabs sounds, especially those inside the flight deck. The Fenix certainly has very nice sounds as well, but also some sounds are in the need for some more tweaking. One of them being the engine startup sound. I personally find the FSlabs sounds a bit more appealing at the moment, but I certainly expect some enhancement for the Fenix going forward. Speaking about the interior model, I am of the opinion that both flight decks are very well modeled. Similar to the exterior, the Fenix shows a bit more signs of use, which in my opinion adds immersion, but some users may prefer to have a clean and new flight deck. When it comes to the lighting, I think the Fenix certainly is better equipped due to the possibilities of Microsoft Flight Sim. As previously mentioned, there are some issues to be solved yet, one of them being the wrong font and the size of the font on the displays. Although this is really only something minor, it kind of is bothering me at the moment. Now talking about the EFB, here I do have a preference for the FSlabs one. The Fenix EFB is very well done from a UX perspective, so it is intuitive to handle and has a clean design. But the FSlabs EFB does offer more options, more information, and it is essentially a browser which just opens up for a whole lot of possibilities. However, we should note that it is very likely that the Fenix EFB will receive a bunch of updates going forward. Talking about the actual aircraft simulation and the system depth, I can't possibly say how they compare to one another. What I've picked up from other streamers and real-world pilots is that the Fenix will eventually come to a point where it offers more system depth compared to the FSlabs. In my personal opinion, the average simmer, including myself, we'll most likely never get to a point where we can notice any difference in the details of the simulation. This really only comes into play when you get very deeply involved in some tricky failure simulations. Generally speaking, I find that both aircrafts offer more options than most of us will ever need. One important aspect is the flight model. And talking about the flight model, I think both aircrafts have made good use of their underlying sims, but clearly Microsoft Flight Sim comes with a whole new flight model, offering much more possibilities. What I've always disliked about P3D, and with that also the FSlabs, is that it always feels like driving on tracks. The aircraft is very static in the air. The Fenix, however, feels much more alive in the air, and therefore I do prefer the Fenix flight model. All in all, I do believe it is fair to say that both aircrafts are currently the benchmark in their respective simulators. For me, it is fun to fly an aircraft in Microsoft Flight Sim, which I have flown many times in P3D. But honestly, any user who wants to stay with the FSlabs for now is not missing out on anything. After all, it is the same aircraft, just in a different sim. Both of them are very enjoyable to fly, and you can learn a lot about the A320 while flying them. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please feel free to comment your take on this topic below. Happy landings to all of you, and see you next time.